Alrighty folks, the Dragoon is finally back, and today I want to share with you my first month experience here in Tarkov. I'll try to compress an entire month's worth of gameplay as brief and comprehensive as possible, so without further ado, let's get into it. Right off the bat, the first thing I appreciated was the dynamic weather cycle. It can shift from sunny to cloudy at any moment. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it's foggy in the game. Heck, you can even play it during a night setting, where you traverse through realistic, almost pitch black surroundings. So, unless you're wearing night vision goggles, you're basically almost blind as a bat. In a nutshell, folks, Escape from Tarkov's an RPG shooter game with both PvE and PvP elements. You have to fight off real enemy players labeled as PMCs, as well as the AI scavs scattered around the map. Generally, those AI scavs you encounter in Tarkov are quite manageable to bring down. However, there are some really good ones that can snipe you even in the dark, so watch out for that. Everything you loot, you get to keep as long as you're able to successfully extract from the map. So with that gist of the game being said, let's rewind back to the beginning. My first week of playing Tarkov was super challenging, folks, as all I had were these scrappy scav weapons. Apart from the high recoil, the iron sights made it super challenging to aim at a distance. I worry about losing in sustained gunfights, so I had to make sure that my first shot counts as a lethal hit. Now, apparently, the type of ammunition you carry also plays a huge role in battles. If they're not the armor-piercing variant, it can be a struggle to drop geared-up targets. Luckily, I was able to use the environment here to my advantage and drop the enemy with an axe. Just want to say that being a solo player, not gonna lie, the first week doing trader missions was quite rough. I did not have a lot of money to buy proper gear. Hey, sometimes I'd go in with just a hatchet and a grenade and, just really hope for the best. I had to minimize expenses and for quite some time really had to make do with budget weapons because it was the only thing I could risk losing. But that's really why I prioritized doing trader missions, as it increases your rep, thus giving you access to better gear. Yes, the task requirements can be a pain sometimes, but still I consider it a necessary investment. Slowly but surely, I upgraded my weapons a little bit, starting with better optics that provided versatility for both close range and long range encounters. I actually stuck with bolt-action rifles initially because they were cost efficient. Then I realized the flexibility of DMRs as well as semi-auto sniper rifles made them a more reliable choice. They can still drop targets at a distance, and if you slap a laser sight onto it, you now have reliable CQC compatibility, whereas with bolt-action rifles, if you miss your shot up close, GG, you've essentially marked your grave. But enough of that, let's talk about one of the most crucial aspects of the game, your personal hideout. At the start, it literally looks like a dump, so you've gotta upgrade it using cash and various materials that you either scavenge or buy at the flea market, so that your crib actually looks decent and livable, know what I'm saying? Plus, it gives actual in-game benefits, so it's a win-win. Now, to actually afford all this stuff, I had to go on high-yield looting runs. Heard Interchange was one of the best places to consistently get good loot. I've always thought it was at the Cjbeards gun store since I always hear gunshots in this vicinity. One time I walked away with a heavily modded M4 as well as some tactical night vision equipment, which isn't bad. Although, I've always wondered why I see people heading to the locker area right next to the Goshan supermarket. PMCs always seem to be lurking in this vicinity, so I was like, hang on, something is up with this place. Then I found out that it actually spawns physical bitcoins. I once earned almost 1,000,000 rubles in a 7-minute loot run just by scavenging at this locker area. Just a friendly reminder though, if you go with budget setup folks, don't be super stingy like me in this instance, where I literally ran out of ammo and had to resort to using an ice pick in dropping an enemy. Luckily, I survived with 3 HP after stopping the bleeding, but folks, learn from my mistake and always bring enough bullets. Okay, so one thing I also learned from Tarkov is that you have to constantly keep your head on a swivel, especially when you're looting, because you'll never know when someone's lurking in the dark to ambush you. Chances are someone's just prowling around the corner. I actually made a rookie mistake of looting stuff immediately after a kill, and to my surprise, someone was already behind me, ready to take me out the moment I stood up. Okay, so not gonna lie, Tarkov is an extremely grind-intensive game at the start, but if you keep trying, you'll eventually find worthwhile loot along the way. After 500 plus raids, folks, I finally saved enough to buy every upgrade for my hideout, built a library, cause you know what they say, knowledge is power, needed that plus 10 intelligence. Just kidding, I'd probably never read any of those books. Got myself a scav case, installed solar power, and now I'm upgrading my Bitcoin farm to level 3 for that long-term passive income investment. Hails yeah! Now that we have a lot of funds, the next thing I want to feature about Tarkov are the scav bosses. Starting with customs, our first scav boss goes by the name Reshala and is usually accompanied by his bodyguards. Good news is that despite having decent gear, they don't really move around as much, so with proper positioning combined with armor-piercing rounds, that should be enough to drop their entire squad. Next up on Shoreline, we've got the med junkie Sanitar, and even though he moves around, he's still somewhat territorial and just sticks to the proximity of his spawn point. Third on the list, residing at the woods map, we have Sturman. Not only is he elusive, but the dude's quite the sharpshooter as well, so when you do spot that sneaky bastard, make sure to drop him as fast as you can. Alright, let's move on to Interchange. Killa is one of the more aggressive bosses and will usually chase you around the map as soon as he detects you. If you think that's bad, wait till you meet his brother Tagilla. Dwelling in the factory, he's probably the most unique scav boss in my opinion, rushing up close to pulverize you with a sledgehammer. Hey, if he's using a melee weapon, I think it's only fair to fight fire with fire and whack him with my Red Rebel ice pick. Gotta admit, that was quite fulfilling. Also, I do like to keep a souvenir of all the unique boss items, just as memorabilia. But wait, we've got one more boss situated in reserve and is potentially the hardest one to beat. If he's equipped with a DMR, Gluhar's trusty M1A will shred you in seconds. Still, I always prefer to engage him and his raider crew at range, just had to be extra careful and be mindful of my positioning, strategically dropping them one at a time. If you're lucky, Gluhar can spawn with an Ash 12, and the rounds have a very low bullet velocity, so you'll have a clear advantage of taking him down at longer distances. Now I know that's not always the ideal scenario, so when I was forced to engage him and his crew in close quarters, I just made sure that there's cover nearby. End of the day, despite being insanely lethal, the AI pathing and logic is flawed and you can work your way around that. So that pretty much sums up my encounters with the different Tarkov bosses. Now folks, there is an ongoing Shoreline event today with a 100% boss spawn rate at Resort. Both Sanitar and Reshala can spawn here, so give it a shot. Might walk away with some decent drops. Just be mindful of camping opportunists that lurk around the corner, cause the last thing you want is for your hard-earned loot to be stolen by someone else. More importantly, be extra wary of those exfil campers. I seriously thought that was just a dead body, but you know, it does pay off to be careful. Alright, one last thing, I just want to quickly talk about the karma system in general. This is Tarkov, so it is expected that you will find bad deceptive players. However, in the 1 month I've been playing this game, there are a few good ones you'll come across in Tarkov. True enough, it is uncommon for a random player to help you out, but just maybe they believe their strength in numbers. Now, it is quite interesting to experience an unlikely alliance between a USEC and Bear operative. We banded together to fight off scavs as we proceeded to the extraction point, then went on our own separate ways. Gotta admit, that experience felt so similar to the Escape from Tarkov announcement trailer. That's why whenever I see a hatchling who yields, I do not shoot them. I proceed to my objective. If a scav does pop up, I drop him and allow the hatchling to kit up, then I move out. That's just my philosophy. I do believe in good karma in general. You know, you just help someone because, hey, you'll never know, you might get unexpected blessings later down the road. Anyways, that wraps up our 1 month experience. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you folks for watching. Now, I think it's finally time we escaped from Tarkov. Peace out.
Dragoon Toby is gonna bring it.